other thing that's good to remember is to try to keep the surroundings free from distractions. So that means turn your phone off, make sure the children and the animals in your house are taken care of by some other way, because animals will just totally make a beeline for you if you're trading attention with someone.
Yeah.
Like I've seen cats like climb in your lap and like put their face right here, you know. It's like it's like they want the attention and they will try to get it. They'll try to distract you, and children will too, you know, because wow, they're really being juicy. They're exchanging attention. I want some of that attention. So be sure that they're taken care of.
So noise too, you know.
Huh?
Noise too, like you've got the barrier for the kitchen.
Right, noise. And also you want to choose a place to have a session that's private and safe. You can do it outside in a park, but it really limits what you can do in the session. You can't be yelling and crying hard and stuff like that, usually out in a park. It freaks people out and they come and they try to bother you or they stay far away or sometimes cars work. Sometimes people have trouble finding places to be able to have a session because of the noises upset other people, because they're not sure if you're okay.
Right.
And they get triggered with any sort of emotion. You know, we're not supposed to have any emotions in this culture. We're supposed to always be calm and quiet and happy. Yeah.
Would you recommend not practicing with people that we're already friends with?
You can practice with them. You just have to be more careful. And one thing that you need to do is, if you need to work on issues with friends that they know, they're probably not the best person to work on it with, because they're going to have their own opinions and issues. And the other thing you can do is start with the current situation, but immediately go back to the earliest thing you can think of that relates to that.
Okay.
So if you're feeling upset because somebody yelled at you, rather than talking a lot about that current situation, you can ask the client, what's the earliest time you can remember that somebody yelled at you like that? How old were you? What was the situation? What was the story? And it's more useful to do that anyway, because you're working on the roots of the distress. So you'll get a better counseling session anyway than if you just stay in the current moment. But it's especially important if you're working with somebody you know or your partner. It will work well because they'll be able to counsel you about when you were a child way better than they will about the current situation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they won't get as triggered. It's also important to be courteous. So that means, like, if you have a session with someone, arrive on time, or call them if you can't arrive on time. Be very responsible about that, because people are looking forward to it, and you're about to have an intimate connection, and if you just kind of are flaky about it, how are people going to feel? You know, if you show up half an hour late, or, you know, it's difficult for people, and they won't want to have sessions with you if you do that. I've had this happen in classes where people do that regularly, and pretty soon nobody wants to work with them. And it's also important to remember confidentiality. We talked about that, but just to go over it again, you don't want to talk about anything that happened in the session outside of the session to anyone else, and also to them, to the client, outside the sessions. So you wouldn't want to mention anything like they say, oh, my grandmother's getting an operation for cancer, and then you see them on the street a few days later, and oh, what happened with your grandmother? You know, they may not want to open that up right then. They may not want to touch into a sensitive subject outside of the session. Sometimes you can refer to an earlier session when you're having a second section, and that's natural and everything. Sometimes you can ask permission. Can I refer to something in your session? if you have some resource for them that they might want to know about, they're struggling with a certain health thing and you know about a good book or something, but you want to ask their permission. You know, I have a resource that might help with this. Are you open to that? Sometimes people are not because everybody's trying to help them. I don't know if you've ever had an illness that was going on, but everybody's giving you advice, and sometimes people get really sick of that. So you want to, you just want to be respectful of touching into anything that might have to do with their distress. Make sense? So when you're the counselor, it's good to maintain eye contact with your client. You should be looking at them. They don't have to look at you. What they'll probably do is kind of internalize, look all around, and then check back and see if you're looking. And if you're kind of staring at the ceiling, they're going to kind of feel like you're not paying attention. So you pretty much need to stay focused on them the whole time. But you don't want to just be staring at them, rigidly, You want to maintain relaxed, good eye contact.